The hall was bigger than she had imagined. When she first walked inside, she stopped for a moment near the door. The ceiling was high, with warm lights hanging quietly above. The wooden floor looked polished, almost too clean to step on. Every sound felt louder here, even the soft shuffling of feet and low whispers from people taking their seats. She held her hands together in front of her, fingers pressed tightly, as if that might stop them from shaking. This place was never meant for someone like her. At least, that was what she believed. She was not wearing a fancy dress, no shining shoes, no styled hair, just a simple sweater, jeans, and shoes she had worn many times before. If someone looked at her, they would never guess she was about to sit at the piano in the center of this large hall. And that was exactly why no one paid much attention to her. People around her assumed she was just another helper, or maybe someone waiting for a performer. Some glanced at her and then looked away. Others were busy talking, checking their phones, or adjusting their seats. Only one person in the audience mattered to her, her mother sat quietly a few rows back. She did not know this moment was for her. The mother had come thinking she was only there to watch something small, a short program, a normal evening. She had even said they could leave early if it got too long. She never liked staying out late. The daughter watched her from a distance. Her mother's hair showed signs of time. A few silver strands caught the light. Her hands rested in her lap, tired hands that had worked for years without rest. Those hands had cleaned, cooked, fixed, and comforted more times than anyone could count. The daughter swallowed hard. She remembered those hands, holding hers when she was little, walking her to school, wiping her tears, letting go only when necessary. This piano performance was not planned for an audience. It was meant for one heart. She took a slow breath and stepped forward. The piano stood there silently, large and dark, its surface shining under the lights. It looked powerful, almost intimidating. She had seen pianos before, but never like this. Never in a place like this. A small bench sat in front of it. For a moment, she thought about turning back. She thought about how easy it would be to say, "I can't do this." No one would stop her. No one expected anything from her anyway. But then she thought about all the times her mother had been tired and still smiled. All the moments she had wanted to rest, but kept going. All the dreams her mother had quietly placed aside so her child could move forward. And so, she walked to the bench. The sound of her footsteps echoed softly. A few people noticed now. Heads turned. Whispers faded. She sat down. The bench felt colder than she expected. She adjusted herself, moving slightly closer to the keys. Her heart beat fast, loud in her chest. She could feel it in her ears. Her hands hovered over the piano, not touching yet. She closed her eyes for just a second. In that second, memories rushed in. A small room, a broken chair, an old keyboard with some keys that did not work well. Long evenings after school. Her mother sitting nearby, tired but listening, sometimes smiling, sometimes just watching in silence. They never had much. Lessons were expensive. Instruments were hard to afford. Practice time came between chores and responsibilities. Many nights, she played softly so she would not disturb anyone. She never told people about this part of her life, not because she was ashamed, but because it felt too personal. The hall was quiet. Now, someone cleared their throat. A program manager glanced toward the stage, unsure. This performance had not been announced loudly. It was almost an afterthought. A small request from a girl who said she only wanted to play. Something simple. No one expected anything special. She opened her eyes, dot her fingers, touched the keys. The first note came out soft, gentle, almost unsure. Some people shifted in their seats. A few looked at each other, thinking this would be quick. Just a short piece, something polite. She played another note, then another. The melody began slowly, like a careful conversation. Nothing loud, nothing fast, just steady, honest sound filling the space. The girl leaned forward slightly, her shoulders relaxed just a bit, her hands still shook, but less now. The piano felt familiar under her fingers, like an old friend she had not seen in a long time. In the audience, her mother straightened. At first, she did not realize what she was hearing. She thought it was just background music, but something about the sound made her look up. Her eyes searched the stage, and then she saw her daughter sitting at the piano. For a moment, the mother felt confused. She leaned forward, blinking, as if her eyes were playing tricks on her. This was not what she expected. This was not what she had come for. A soft smile touched her lips, mixed with worry. She knew how shy her daughter was, how much she avoided attention. She wondered why she would put herself in front of so many people. The music continued. It was still gentle, but it carried weight. Each note felt placed with care. There was no rush, no showing off, just feeling. The hall grew quieter. Phones were lowered. Conversations stopped completely. People began to listen. The girl's face showed focus, but also something deeper. Her eyebrows tightened slightly. Her lips pressed together as if holding back emotion. She was not playing for applause. She was telling a story of long days, of silent sacrifices, of love that never asked for praise. The piano responded to her touch, filling the space with warmth. The sound traveled up to the high ceiling and back down, wrapping around everyone sitting there. The girl did not look at the audience. She did not look around. Her eyes stayed on the keys, but her heart was somewhere else, with her mother. The mother felt her chest tighten. Tears filled her eyes. Before she understood why, she remembered nights when she came home exhausted, only to find her child practicing quietly in the corner. She remembered saying, "Not too late, and don't strain your hands." She remembered thinking it was just a hobby. She never knew. No one knew. The music grew a little stronger now. Not louder, but fuller. The notes began to connect, forming a clear path. The girl's hands moved with more confidence. Her shoulders loosened. She was no longer afraid. She was home. In the audience, people leaned forward without realizing it. Something about this performance felt real, raw, honest, not polished in a way that felt empty, but alive. This was not perfection. This was truth. The girl's fingers danced gently across the keys, rising and falling like breath. The melody held sadness, but also hope, pain, but also gratitude. Her mother pressed a hand to her mouth. She understood. Now, this was not a performance. This was a thank you. The girl had not said a single word, yet everything was being said. As the last note of this section faded into the hall, the girl let her hands rest on the keys. She did not lift them right away. She stayed still, breathing softly, feeling the moment settle. The room remained silent, not because it was over, but because something important was about to happen, and no one wanted to break that feeling. Part 1 ends here. The silence after the last note felt heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that did not rush to be filled, the kind that stayed for a moment, as if the air itself wanted to hold on to what had just happened. No one moved. No one spoke. Even breathing felt quieter. The girl slowly lifted her hands from the piano keys. They rested in her lap now, still and unsure, like they did not yet know where to go next. Her fingers felt warm, almost tired, but in a peaceful way. Her breathing was calm, steady, but her chest felt full, not full of fear anymore. That fear had already passed. What filled her now was something deeper, something warm, something that felt like relief mixed with love. She had said everything she needed to say, without words. She finally looked up. Her eyes moved slowly across the hall. She saw rows of people, sitting very still, faces she did not know, faces frozen in thought, Some looked surprised, some looked touched, some looked lost in their own memories. She passed them all. Then she saw her mother. For a second, nothing else existed. Their eyes met, and the world felt smaller. The large hall, the high ceiling, the bright lights, the many people, everything faded into the background. It was as if someone had gently pulled a curtain around them, leaving only the two of them inside that moment. The mother's face had changed. Tears ran freely now. They were not rushed. They were not hidden. They simply came, one after another, without shame. Her lips trembled as she tried to smile through the emotion. One hand pressed against her chest, as if her heart was beating too strongly to stay in place. She had no words. She did not need them. The girl felt her own eyes burn. She blinked quickly, trying to stay strong, but one tear escaped anyway. It rolled down her cheeks slowly. She did not wipe it away. She let it fall. This was not a moment to hide. This was a moment to feel. The audience finally reacted at first. It was just a few claps, slow claps, careful claps, as if people were unsure whether it was right to break the silence that had wrapped itself around the room. A few hands came together, then paused, then continued again. Then more hands joined. The sound grew little by little. Soon, the hall filled with applause. Not loud cheering, not shouting, but deep, honest clapping. The kind of applause that comes from respect, not excitement. It's the kind that says, "I felt that." Some people stood without realizing it. They rose slowly from their seats, almost surprised to find themselves on their feet. Others stayed seated, but clapped harder, their faces soft and thoughtful. A few wiped their eyes quietly, turning away so no one would notice. The girl stood up from the bench. Her legs felt slightly weak now that everything inside her had settled. She turned fully toward the audience, but her eyes kept returning to her mother again and again, as if checking to make sure she was still there. She gave a small bow, not perfect, not practiced, almost shy. Her shoulders curved forward a little, like someone who was not used to being seen this way, like someone who had never expected to stand in front of applause. The clapping continued. It felt endless to her. Time stretched in a strange way. Each second felt longer than the last, but she did not feel proud in the way people often imagine pride. She did not feel like she had won something. She did not feel above anyone. What she felt was lighter, as if a weight she had been carrying quietly for years had finally been set down, as if she had finally said something she had kept inside for far too long. Slowly, the applause faded, not suddenly, gently. A quiet hum remained in the room, a feeling that did not disappear right away. The girl stepped away from the piano. Her feet touched the floor carefully, as if she was learning how to walk again after standing still for too long. She moved toward the edge of the stage area, her heart calm now, her thoughts clear. Her mother stood up, without thinking, without hesitation. She moved forward, stepping into the open space between rows. People noticed and shifted without being asked. Chairs moved slightly. Bodies leaned back or stepped aside. No one wanted to stop this. When they reached each other, they did not speak right away. They hugged. It was not a tight hug. Not dramatic. Not the kind people clap for it. Was real. The kind of hug that carries years inside it. The mother's hands rested on her daughter's back, just like they used to when she was small. The same comforting pressure. The same warmth. The daughter leaned into her, resting her head against her shoulder, breathing in a familiar scent that felt like home. For a moment, nothing else mattered. No hall, no audience, no music, just them, when they slowly pulled apart. The mother held her daughter's face gently in her hands. She looked at her closely, as if seeing her again for the first time, as if understanding something that had always been there, but never fully seen. "I didn't know," the mother whispered. Her voice was soft, almost broken. The girl smiled through her tears. "I know," she said. That was all. No long explanation. No need to say more. Later, when the hall had emptied and the lights were dimmer, they sat together on the same bench, where the girl had played. The piano was closed now, quiet again. Its surface reflected the soft light above, calm and still. The mother looked at it with new eyes. "All those nights," she said quietly, "you were practicing." The girl nodded. "When you thought I was just passing time." The mother let out a small, breathless laugh. It carried a mix of regret and warmth. "I wish I had listened more." "You did," the girl said quickly. "You always did, just by being there." The mother reached for her hand and squeezed it gently, holding on as if she never wanted to let go. They sat in silence for a while. Not the heavy kind, not the awkward kind, the peaceful kind. Outside the hall, the night air was cool. Streetlights glowed softly. Cars passed by. People walked, laughed, talked. Life continued, unaware that something meaningful had just happened inside those walls. But something inside both of them had shifted. In the days that followed, the moment did not disappear. People spoke about it, but not loudly, not like gossip. More like something they carried with them. Something they thought about later, while sitting alone or walking home. Some said they had never expected that level of feeling from such a quiet girl. Others said it reminded them of someone they loved, someone they had never properly thanked. The girl returned to her normal life. She wore the same clothes, walked the same streets, helped at home, like always. Nothing around her changed much. But inside, something was different. She stood a little taller now, not because she felt important, but because she felt seen. Her mother watched her differently too, with pride, yes, but also with understanding. She no longer thought of her child's dreams as small or uncertain. She no longer saw them as just a hobby. She saw them clearly now. The piano performance did not turn the girl into someone else. It revealed what was already there. A quiet strength, a deep heart, a voice that did not need words. One evening, as they sat together at home, the mother asked, "Will you play again?" The girl smiled. "Yes, but not for everyone, just for me." The mother asked. The girl nodded. She sat at the old keyboard, the one with the imperfect keys, and began to play. The sound was not as grand as the hall, not as clear, not as powerful, but it was full of love, and that was enough.